Memorial Field, Hanover, New Hampshire. The opening of Ivy League football in 1986. The 54th meeting between Penn and Dartmouth of a rivalry that started in 1896 that Dartmouth leads 26-25-2. Here come the Dartmouth Quakers, led by new coach Ed Zubrow, coming off 4 straight Ivy championships, 2 outright, looking for their 5th. On the other side of the ledger, the Big Green of Dartmouth, coached by Joe Yukika, looking to turn the program around in Joe's 9th and final season. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ivy League football on PBS. I'm Brian Dowling, and with me is former Princeton coach Bob Cacciola. Bob, we've got a great setting here for the Ivy opener.
We sure do. It's an exciting afternoon in the fall. The beginning of football season is important in Hanover in the Ivy League, but particularly because it brings the fall foliage season, it brings alumni back, it's the beginning of football, and people are excited naturally, but more so this year because there's a lot of interest with the coaches and the teams involved, both Dartmouth and Penn.
Well, 2 teams going in different directions over the last couple of years. Penn, 4 Ivy championships in a row. Dartmouth, 2 losing seasons. We've got a rookie coach taking over the reins of Jerry Burnt, and here at Dartmouth, an interesting story, or a different story, with Joe Yukika.
Joe Yukika, beginning his 9th season as head football coach, was dismissed at the conclusion of last season, the 85 season, took the case to court, and won the opportunity to coach again this year, the 86 season. Yukika is looking forward to this year. He's got some interesting players returning, particularly on offense at quarterback and in his receiving core. He thinks he's got an opportunity to win as many games as anybody in the league and contend for the title. And you mentioned Penn coming back after great success under Jerry Burnt. Ed Zubrow takes over, the rookie coach, with a lot of returning veterans, a great quarterback in Krochickia, a fine running back in Comizio, a lot of opportunities to win. And as you know, when you return quarterbacks, as you were, you've got a chance in this league.
Well, it really helps. So we've got the opening Saturday of Ivy League football, which is a little different than most other schools. 2.5 weeks of practice prior to the first game, and no spring practice makes for a afternoon where you don't know what's going to happen.
Particularly in the beginning game of the season, and now as we look into the skies, the possibility of rain today, anything can happen, and there's always a distinct advantage for the home team. Dartmouth at home always has an advantage. The crowd is with them. There's a lot of emotion involved, so you're right. The beginning of the season is one thing. The other thing is the fact that you've got 2 coaches coming in with interesting backgrounds, and you've got the possibility of anything, upset, excitement. It should be a great.
Okay, we're ready for the opening kickoff. Penn's kicker, Jim Grass, number 3, tee it up at the 35-yard line. Deep for Dartmouth. Standing on about the 5. 28, Keith Graham. High kick. Chris Lensowitz. Got some room up to the 25-yard line, where Dartmouth will put it in play. Number 10, Dave Gabinelli. And here's how the Dartmouth lines up on offense. Gabinelli will start at quarterback. Played the last 7 games last year after being on the bench for the first 3. Dartmouth comes out in the I formation at their 25. Give to Terrain. Nothing there as he's hit at the line of scrimmage.
On the tackle, Jeff Fortner, number 38 for Pennsylvania.
Art Sebastianelli on the stop. Here's the front 3 for Penn. Sebastianelli making that stop. The linebacking group. Fortner is the key man in that group, and Brad Hines, a co-captain, and Fangmeyer also a returner in the secondary. 2nd and 10. Gabinelli looking for Drury. He's got him at the 32, and he's out of bounds at the 35. Run out by Brad Hippensteel.
The tight end is very important in this attack, and Matt Drury, the sophomore at 6'5", 225, number 80, comes across the formation and catches the ball. He's not only big, but he has excellent speed. Joe Yukika feels he will be a factor offensively for him this year.
Got enough enough for the first down, so they'll put it right at the 35. 1st and 10. Gavinelli having a good rate. In fact, that resulted in a rating of over 100, which is very good in quarterback statistics. Again in the I formation. Give the terrain again. Cuts back. Got a good gain up to the 42. Brought down by Sebastianelli again.
Terrain, the experienced tailback, the senior from Pennsylvania, ran that ball up the middle following the blocks of his right guard, Chris Matonis, the veteran, and he gets a good hole and cuts back against the grain for good yardage.
2nd down, about 4 at the 41. Dartmouth again in the I formation. Pitch to terrain. Almost the 45-yard line, run out by Donald Wilson.
Again, they're working the ball back into the sideline that time. They ran back away from the formation in the field. They ran the tailback to the split end side, which isn't easy to do, but when you have an experienced tailback like Terrain who can make it on the corner, they did. They came up a little bit short of the first down, but good yardage. Actually,
a new class of incoming freshmen. They're not defensive ends. That's the class of 90. They look younger and younger each year.
Actually, they've decided to look at this. It might be close enough to measure, and they've decided to bring the chains out and take a look at it. A little bit short.
Officials getting into the game themselves.
As you know, from an offensive standpoint, you've got to get 3-4 yards per carry, especially on your first down calls. Thus far, Dartmouth has done that. They're in good position here. They're moving the ball upfield, coming up 3rd and short. This is what Joe Ukika, I'm sure, would like to establish early, the ability to make good yardage on the early downs, get good field position, and with the weather conditions, that could be a factor.
Well, it's they've started off punching the ball right at Penn and going at a defense that has to been replaced from the outstanding Penn defense in the last 2 years. Okay, tight, double tight end. Gavinelli give to Terrain, and he's got the first down. Brought again by Brad Hines this time. Rover for Penn.
And Penn has to really depend on the experienced players. This is a defense, as you noted, that's had to be replaced in many positions, particularly in the linebacker positions, where 3 new linebackers are starting for Penn. That's where Dartmouth will test them today, whether those linebackers can hold up inside against the big fullback and tailback combination of Dartmouth.
Gavinelli looking for Drury again. Got him. Hit, gets up to the 50. Hit by Brad Hippensteel. Pickup of about 5 yards. Bring up a 2nd down and 5.
What they're doing there is bringing the tight end across from the right side. You see 80 come across underneath the linebackers. They drive the linebackers in the secondary off with the wide receivers. It's a short game. It's a possession pass.
Very high percentage, and it's the type you can move the ball up and down the field with. Control offense, but still keeping the defense honest. Well, they marked it back to the 48, so a 2nd down and 8. Slot formation. Gavinelli. It's 23. Dufresne for a short gain. Pickup of about 2. Tackle there by Tom Flynn.
Excellent reaction by Flynn, the senior cornerback who's in the game. He came up off a pick by the wide receiver who tried to run outside and make the inside receiver cut up underneath him, but Flynn diagnosed the play, kept it to a very short gain, and here Dartmouth's offense for the first time is faced with a 3rd and long.
A definite passing situation. Going to the double wing formation. Gavinelli looking for Morton, overthrown. And a flag down.
Flag down in the middle of the formation usually means there's something going against the offense, probably some type of a holding call.
Well, you picked it right. With the incompletion, though, brings up a punting situation.
This is Gabinelli just dropping back with flankers spread wide, a single back, and there's the holding right in the middle of the line of scrimmage. Number 57, the center, John Randolph, the senior center for Dartmouth, got caught for holding. It was an incomplete pass. Penn naturally refused it, forces the punt, and we're going to see now for the first time the Penn offense go to work.
Kevin, number 29, Kevin Griffin, 34 average in 1985. Punting from his own 49. It's a pretty good kick. Flynn's got it at the 9, the 15, and out of bounds at the 22. Brought down there by Chris Matonis.
We'll see a lot of that number 27, Chris Flynn, today.
Here's how Penn lines up on offense. A experienced right side of the line, the left guard tackle, are new players from last year. And here's the backfield. Comizio, outstanding back from last season. Cricicchio, also a veteran of Ivy League quarterbacking. 42-yard punt and a 12-yard return. Penn will put it in play at the 22. Cricicchio gives to Comizio. Good hole out to the 37-yard line. That's the one thing brought down by Jeff Lee. Well, that's one thing that Coach Ukika was worried about. He didn't mind giving a lot of yardage, but he didn't want him to come in big chunks. Here's how Dartmouth lines up front. Ramsey, McBride, and Mulhauser. The linebacking core. And the deep backs, led by Andy Russell, safety. Cricicchio, high formation. To give to Clar up the middle for about 2 yards.
They're intent on testing the Dartmouth defense inside right away. You've got some real competition on this Penn team. Cricicchio started at quarterback. He's the senior, but we know Scott Marcotte has put a lot of pressure on him in preseason. And the same holds true at tailback, where Comizio started, but Flynn, the outstanding sophomore last year, the junior this year, is putting pressure on him. So you got a lot of competition. You got a lot of guys that want to show their stuff right away on the offense.
2nd and 6. Slot formation. Give to Comizio, and he gets up to about the 44-yard line. Brought down by Nigel Eckern. It's a name out of the classic novels.
Eckern is a linebacker, a senior linebacker. He's got good size and speed and has the ability from the inside linebacker position to make the play on the outside as he did then. But it's very important as we see Penn attack the Dartmouth defense, the ability of Dartmouth to keep that tailback, Comizio, from breaking the line of scrimmage. He's got the quickness and the speed to do that.
3rd down and a long 2. Incomplete. Defended there by Rob Comby.
They flooded the zone that time with 3 receivers and tried to hit the wide receiver that time. Andrews, the senior, coming back to football this year. He was away from football in '85. He gives the kind of speed that offense needs. They're looking for him in the flat. He just didn't hold on the ball.
Pass was on the money. Okay, 4th and 2 for Penn. Into punt, Dave Fosnacht. A 38 average last year. So Penn, the beneficiary of an experienced kicker. A wobbly kick, but should get a Penn roll, and does. Down there at the 11, but a touched closer to the 15. I had a chance earlier to talk to new coach Ed Zubrow, and talk to him about what kind of signature might be on the Penn team of 1986.
Well, if it does, I would hope that signature is one of enjoying playing on Saturday, working hard to get ready, and then coming out and playing with enthusiasm and really enjoying the game of football. We really set as our goal to improve each day, through each practice, and then through each week of the season. And if we can do that this year and consistently improve for 10 weeks, I think at the end we'll be right in the thick of the fight.
Gabinelli to give to Terrain. Not much room. Gets over the 15-yard line. Pickup of almost 2. Brought down by Jeff Fortner, who's the key man in the Penn linebacking core.
Exactly. Fortner returns. He's got experience. He's aggressive. He's a leader. He's the physical player out there. And what they're doing now is they're playing for the run. They've got them deep in their own territory. They were up on the line of scrimmage that time, and they forced Terrain, who was trying to look to break it outside, to cut back inside. Too many people. 2nd and long.
2nd and 9 at the 15. Again, the I formation. Give to Terrain again. He's got some room. Over the 20. Brought down by Sebastianelli. Excuse me, Bob, very active linebacker.
Terrain that time looking to cut back, and he did. He cut back to the soft area. Notice the over pursuit here as he gets the ball deep in the backfield. That's the sprint draw action. See, everybody's pursued too far to the left side and forces Sebastianelli to come from the right defensive tackle position to make the play. Those linebackers, those inexperienced Penn linebackers, have to stay at home against the cutback.
Let's go.
3rd down and 5.
22.
Drury flex position at tight end. Give the Terrain again. Out at about the 26.5-yard line. Got enough for the 1st down. Sebastianelli knocking him out of bounds.
That's the advantage of having a tailback that can run inside and outside, an experienced one in Terrain. He did that on his own. He broke that play coming from the inside. He broke it on the corner and had enough speed to get upfield and get the 1st down.
Terrain in his first 2 Ivy games last year had over 100 yards rushing, so they want to keep him healthy. He only played in 6 games out of the 10 last year. 1st and 10. Gabinelli looking for Morton. Overthrown. Well covered by Wilson. At the corner, actually, he was funneling in, and Brad Hines, too.
Good job. Now, we're going to see a lot of Craig Morton. He's only a sophomore, and he's the guy that can get deep. Joe Yukika said he's the fastest receiver they've had here in recent years, and they believe he's going to be the kind of guy that can test the secondary deep, and they're going to need that to keep people off their running game and also off their short possession-type passing game. There he is, Craig Morton, a sophomore from Plymouth, Michigan.
2nd and 10. Terrain on the draw. About the 34-yard line. Steele again on the stop. With help from McConnell.
We talked about the linebackers of Penn, the inexperienced linebackers, and this is where they got to stay at home. This is a draw play, as you described it, off the I formation. Look at that opening on the left side. He blocked on the linebacker, number 37, but the big key there, that's Inskeep, was it forced the secondary to come up and make the play, and you know when they've got to make the play on the draw, you're making yardage.
8 rushes, 32 yards. A good first quarter for Ernie Terrain. 3rd down and 2. Swerk in motion, the pitch to Terrain. Nothing there. Mike Lista and Sebastianelli read that play from the beginning.
Again, they're working Terrain early in this game. He's the experienced back. They have other backs to come with, particularly a sophomore named Chris Pollard and Trent Pansy, and they're going to have to break them into the lineup today. It's a heavy day, and they've got to give Terrain a little bit of a break in there every once in a while. And we look now that they're punting the football, but I believe that Ernie Terrain will be the factor as if this game stays close. You want a back like Terrain in there in the crucials.
Griffin in the punt. Chris Flynn again deep for Penn. Oh, he got this one. Knocking Flynn way back to his 20. It's trouble. Oh. Back to the 15. Keith Brand. That will get a team psyched up.
You bet. The specialty teams are the key many times to the emotion of a game, and the kicking team can do it. This is a great punt. It drives It drives Flynn back. That's 45 yards in the air. He fumbles it, gets a chance to gather up, but look at who's there. Ram on the outside to make the play, and Dartmouth's got Penn deep in their territory.
1st and 10 at the 14. Tricky, the quarterback. Comizio and Clark behind him. The pitch to Comizio. Good move outside. And almost up to a first down. Out of bounds, just short. About the 23. Run out of bounds by Rob Combies.
That's what makes Rich Comizio a preseason All-American pick. He has the ability to go inside and out. Great balance. He's 5'9", 200 pounds. He's got great balance, and that time he showed it by being able to bounce the play outside, generate enough to pick up 9 yards, and Penn's looking at a 2nd and short.
Is it time to throw the bomb?
Could be.
Pitch again to Comizio. And he's got not much yardage, but enough for the first down. 7:20 left in the first quarter. No score here at Hanover, New Hampshire. We've got new coach Ed Zubrow, who's going to walk a lot of miles down the sideline this afternoon.
Ed Zubrow, first year, first coach, first time on the field as the head man, probably thinking about, let's get the drive going, let's get some field position. He just wants to hold on to this football. He wants to play possession offensive football for a while, get his offense into the swing of things.
Long count. Give the Comizio again. Got some room. He's out to the 40-yard line. Tripped up there by Brent Fry. Good pursuit by a defensive tackle.
Interesting, though, the speed and the quickness to break the offensive line behind the blocks of number 77, Scott Ernst, the left tackle. But here he breaks it. He skips to the outside. Dartmouth defense gets hung up on their blocks. They got to get off those blocks faster. But Penn is running back away from the field into the sideline, away from the formation and away from the strength of the Dartmouth defense.
A tight slot formation into the sideline. Andrews in motion. Pitch again to Flynn this time. Well defended. Oh, he's got some room. He's got some blockers. To the 45. Run out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Great individual effort by Chris Flynn.
And that's what makes this Penn attack and the Penn offense so dangerous. You take Comizio out, you put Flynn in, and you got the ability to break for the big gainer. And he is stopped here. As you described it, he's got nowhere to go. He's cut off. Dartmouth's got him in great position, but he reverses his field. And now he picks up the kind of speed that he needs. He gets his blockers in front of him, and he turns a bad play, a losing play, into a big gainer and takes the offense and puts them in great field position.
You got two outstanding tailbacks, Rich Comizio and Chris Flynn. Comizio, the rookie of the year 2 years ago. Flynn, the rookie of the year last year. So they got a couple of double-barrel shotgun at that tailback position.
And they've got great competition there, and that's what's important. When they're in the game, they know they're giving 110%. They've got those guys playing at the top of their game. Well, whenever they're in the ball game, put tremendous pressure on the opposition's defense.
First time into Dartmouth territory. They give it on the cross buck to Comizio. Well defended by number 18, Jeff Lee, from his inside linebacker. He's staying home, where most of the plays up till now have been not the misdirection variety.
You've got to stay at home. Lee that time, as the play developed away from him, hung around, and eventually the ball came back to him, and he made the play, and they needed that play because of the penetration into Dartmouth's territory. Now forcing a 2nd and long, and we may see Krochickia put the ball up for the first time today.
Saunders and Andrews flank wide to the field. 2nd down and 13. Just inside the Dartmouth 40. Krochickia looking. Got Flynn. Incomplete at the 35-yard line. Brett Matthews there to break up the play. Would have been a short game even if he was able to hold on to it.
Even though it was 2nd and long, it was interesting to note they came off of a play action to throw the ball. It wasn't a deliberate drop back, and the play action was a little fake to hold the linebackers, but he got tremendous pressure from the backside from Tom Ramsey, the defensive right tackle, and he just got rid of the ball in time.
93, Andy Russell famous son of a famous Pittsburgh Steeler. Third down 13. The draw to Comizio. Dribbles it at the 40. He's got room. He's got a first down. He's down to the 20-yard line. Andy Russell making the play, but not before Comizio does a little stutter, a little pick up, and a good bounce.
Great bounce for him. That was just a draw play off the I formation, just poor tackling there or great running. Either way, Comizio turns a bad play into a first down, keeps the drive alive, and Penn is really threatening Dartmouth's defense right now.
First and 10 at the 20. Two tight ends. Andrews in motion. Pitch to Flynn. Flynn in for Comizio. Cuts back, and he's got a touchdown. Penn.
Great individual effort. Chris Flynn comes in after Comizio turns a bad play into a big play. Comes in the first play, he runs it in for a touchdown, and that's the double duty punch that Penn has in their offense. Nobody in the league has that quality at the tailback position.
Well, with the strength that Comizio has, teams are going to pursue and allow this type of cutback, which Flynn's got the ability to pick out and turn a great play. So Penn on the board first. Jim Grass to try the extra point. And it's good. 7-0 Penn with 4:39 left in the first quarter. Penn taking advantage of almost a play where they would be put in punt formation, and Comizio makes a great play and turns into a first down deep into Dartmouth territory. Really a play that changed the whole drive, complexion of the drive.
And when you're a good team and you're accustomed to winning, as you well know, you turn those kind of plays into winning plays. Nothing affects them. They've been in this situation before. They came into this game knowing they had experience in their offense, and they used it to their advantage. That was an 85-yard drive. It took 8 plays, with Flynn going in from the 20-yard line for the touchdown with great blocking from the left side. And there is Chris Flynn, a very, very fine competitor, showing the emotion, the scoring, and everybody going with him. Those offensive linemen who made it possible by blocking down and giving him a chance to cut back against the grain. Dartmouth coming into this game, as you know, emotionally up, feeling they had a real shot, has to get back in his ball game early, and it's very important for their offense now to put some drives together.
Well, I asked Coach Zubrow earlier if he was going to use Flynn and Comizio at the same time, and he sort of didn't commit, but running them in play after alternating play after really takes its toll on the defense, trying to defend the two types of runners.
And I'm sure before this season is out, we'll see both Comizio and Flynn in the backfield at the same time. But if he can substitute them like he has, he's going to keep them fresh and he's going to keep them healthy. Very exciting football team, Penn. They've been very successful, as we know, over the last 4 years. Jerry Burnt brought this program to the top, where they've dominated the Ivy League. And now Ed Zubrow, Penn's 19th head football coach, begins here. The 35-year-old head coach, a graduate of Haverford College, brings this club in here for the first time up here in Hanover, and he's on the board in the first quarter. And now we'll see what the Penn defense can do.
Jim Grass to kick it. Low kick. And out of bounds at the 8, so they will have to do it again, as they say. Grass did all the kicking off last year for Penn. One game he had a couple of field goal attempts. In fact, the tie against Colgate hit the halfway up the upright on a 51-yard attempt. So he's got the strong leg. But occasionally, as a soccer kicker, as you know as a coach, sometimes the ball goes straight, sometimes it hooks and slices. And
that's an interesting score. Cornell expecting to be tough this year in the Ivy League. Maxie Baughan returns a lot of veterans offensively and defensively, and they're ahead of Princeton 9-0 in the first quarter.
Usually coaches won't make any comments about how well they're going to do, but he didn't pull any punches. He said, we expect to be good this year, so obviously they're starting out that way.
He talked about the size of his team, and he showed the progression of how his first year his line averaged about 200 pounds, and then he went to 210, and this year I guess they're well up there, and he feels physically he can match up with anybody in the league. The other factor is he too returns an experienced quarterback, and I think they're expecting big things. Well, anyway, early in the first quarter they're ahead of Princeton. We'll see how that develops.
Grass again. We'll try it again from the 30. This time get some height and some straightness, but not too much depth. Out to about the 23-yard line. Ron Dufresne, who's in on the kickoff. Normally a blocking back for Ernie Terrain, but gets his chance on the kickoff.
Now we'll see what Dave Gabinelli, the co-captain of this team, as you described him, a senior who got the play after the third game of his junior year and led this club from there on and was elected captain or co-captain, which is quite an honor in the Ivy League. They think a lot of him, and here he is directing the attack. He's got good field position. Let's see if he can develop some offense and move the ball towards the goal line.
So he'll put it in play from the 37, give the Terrain. Gets little yardage on the right side, brought down by Inskeep. Hippensteel again on the play. Boy, at 99 and 59, I think Dartmouth's going to see a lot of them this afternoon.
And there is Ed Zubrow, the head football coach, who was the defensive line coach at Penn. Also, during his tenure, served as the coordinator of recruiting, the academic advisor. He's played many roles, and now he's got the biggest role of all as head football coach.
Swerk and Mosh and Morton wide to the left. 2nd down and 8. Gabinelli throws that away as best he can. Well defended by Desir, pressured by Desir up the middle. Had to get rid of it. Really no place to throw.
Now it looks like the Penn defense is starting to come alive. They're starting to put pressure. That was a little play fake in which he was going to throw the football, trying to look for Terrain coming out of the backfield, but Desir, that experienced nose tackle, was in there on him and forced him to just throw it away.
3rd down and 8 at the 41. Again, slot formation to the near side. Gabinelli looking for Morton. Got him at the 50. Down to the 40-yard line. Brought down by Fangmeyer. Short underneath pattern with the quick receiver Morton.
That's a preferred pattern, as you know, Brian. They were looking for Morton all the way here. He was waiting for him to come open. He wasn't looking at anybody else. When he broke open, he gave him the ball because he's got that speed to get upfield, and he finds the seam and gets the first down. In order for Dartmouth to be in the football game, they've got to hit that guy. They've got to come to him in the crucial situations.
As you see, he had a very outstanding freshman season. He's got the good hands. Reverse to Morton. Nowhere. Hippensteel again. They're going to test him staying home, but they've got to develop the front side play before the reverse can get any results.
Brad Hippensteel is a junior, number 99 there, and he really was the surprise of the fall camp. He came out of nowhere. He was a non-player, a non-traveling player last year on the 85 squad, but he's got great quickness and speed, and he showed it there to stay at home and make a big play against the reverse.
2nd down and call it 10.5. Penn 40. Gabinelli. Short dump to Terrain. Got it down to the 32. Bruce McConnell making a stop. Hippensteel again around the play.
That's the good pass for the quarterback to come to. They release the wide receivers and just let the fullback come out as the outlet, looking for him.
So Gabinelli's looking at a 3rd down and 2. The 32. Not quite in field goal range. 2 tight ends and a power I backfield. Give the Terrain, and he does not get the first down. Bruce McConnell again on the stop. So Joe's got a decision here.
Well, he's in the 4-down zone, and I got to believe in this situation he feels that he can go for it. And you know, he's trailing 7-0. It's early in the ball game. He's got good field position. I got to believe he's going to look to make a first down here and keep this drive alive.
4th and 2 at the 32. Time is running down in the first quarter. Penn ahead 7-0. Power eye again. The option. And nowhere. Penn was waiting for that. Wilson stayed home waiting for the pitch man. Penn will take over on downs.
That was a counter option play, a little step to the right and then come back against the grain. Wilson, the cornerback, wasn't fooled by it. He stayed around on the right side, made the play on the pitch. Joe Ukika gambled and lost that time, but I think it was the right call under those circumstances.
Okay, Penn will take over at their own 37. Krochicki, the quarterback. Andrews in motion to give the Comizio. Gets 2 tough yards off left tackle. Derek McDowell on the stop.
Very important here for the Dartmouth defense to hang in tough and not give any points this early in the ball game. Dartmouth proved they could move the ball in that last drive. They didn't get any points, but they had a good sustained drive for a while. They got to keep them in the ball game defensively and get a chance to get the ball back.
2nd down and 8. Penn's 39. Andrews in motion. Pitch to Comizio. And he gets maybe 1. Greg McBride, good pursuit on from the backside.
Excellent pursuit, and Dartmouth's got to be aware they have to run to the football, but they can't over pursue. Comizio is always looking back, as is Flynn, for the cutback opportunity. That time it wasn't there, and they kept him to really no gain in a 3rd and 6 situation.
Chikia. Short dump broken up by number 81, Brent Fry. Get those big mitts in the air. Boy, there's nothing worse than a quarterback.
The day before graduation, they all stand around and break their clay pipes. You have anything like that at Yale?
Well, I was just going to ask you, if consider good luck if it got hit by lightning. I guess it didn't hit anybody when it fell over. No, nothing like that at Yale. Okay, Penn looking at a punting situation, 4th and 6, just over their 40-yard line. Pass knocked again to punt, doesn't turn over, and it looked like it was going to be a fair catch, but he didn't give the signal. Number 13, Tim Stretch, immediately tackled by Tom Gizzi.
This is Tim Stretch, whose brother was a quarterback on this club early last fall, graduated this past June. His knee hits the ground as he simultaneously catches the ball, and that's where it's down, and it's 1st down for Dartmouth. The defense did their job. The offense has got a shot to get back in the ball game.
Okay, starting at the 27, there's the class of 90, and is that a freshman leading the cheers? We'll get him out for football. Gavinelli give the terrain, fumble, but he recovers it. Number 94, Ish McLaughlin. Read that play in a hurry.
That's the kind of penetration you can't afford to have. You get somebody in the backfield as the play develops, and you're either going to have a loss, you're going to have a fumble. You had both there. Fortunately for Dartmouth and Ernie Terrain, he was able to pounce on the ball, but they're coming up now 2nd and long. Joe Ukika does not want to be in this situation. The defense now dictates.
Excuse me, that was Mike List on this stop. Holding on the left defensive tackle for the Penn Quakers. 2nd down at 15, draw to Terrain. He's got some room. Oh, good tackle by number 30. Jeff Fortner again showing his range as a linebacker.
Big play by Fortner. The Terrain running the draw play. If he breaks that tackle, he's going to get good yardage. Fortner made the play, and he's made that play year in and year out. Last year he had 77 individual tackles in 85, so he's accustomed to making those big plays, and as we mentioned earlier, he is the leader on that defense. He's a very physical player. Jeff Fortner, the senior.
3rd down and 13 as the drizzle starts to get a little bit heavier. Gavinelli again looking to throw. Goes long. Almost intercepted by number 9, Steve Johnson. As touching the first time with a sort of a wet ball, it was probably a surprise. He was looking at an open end zone.
He was looking at also a lot of defenders there, and I thought he really forced that ball a little bit for the first time as he puts it up here. And as we see, this ball comes down. There's a lot of white jerseys around the intended receiver, number 89, Jim Swerk, the senior wide receiver for Dartmouth.
So Dartmouth will be forced to punt. 4th down and 13 from their own 24. Kevin Griffin puts the punt away. Flynn to receive it. He's got it at his own 45. The 50. He's got some room. He's got some blockers. Down to the 30-yard line of Penn. He's a threat no matter where you put him on the field. Punt returns or in the backfield.
Brent Matthews, the Dartmouth Roverback, made the key tackle. Whenever the ball is punted to Penn, you can rest assured there's not going to be a fair catch. You can't afford to let up, as we see there. And look at that cutting ability and the ability to generate right away and get yardage. And that's what made Chris Flynn the sophomore of the year in the Ivy League last year.
So Penn looking at good field position. 1st down to Dartmouth 31. Chickia calling the signals. Give to Clark on a cutback, and he gets good yardage up the middle. Pickup of about 6. Number 93, Andy Russell, on this stop.
Clark, the fullback, he's a senior. They keep you honest with him every once in a while. They love to feature the tailback. As the Penn coach, Ed Zubrow, signaling in from the sideline.
He seems to be...
Clark, the fullback, is the kind of guy that runs up inside every once in a while to keep you honest, so you just don't forget about it.
Excuse me, Bob. He seems to be shelling in his tight ends. They're very high on 3 tight ends, so he's got a luxury there. Scott Sunjo in for Novoselsky. The pitch to number 45, Mizio, number 40.
Camizio running in here, alternating at tailback with Chris Flynn. Camizio, the bigger back of the two, at 5'9", 200, the ability to run inside and outside. And they're trying to wear down Dartmouth now. They want to get another score right now and try to make it difficult for Dartmouth early in this football game.
Number 41, Joel Arano, in at fullback for Tom Clark.
We got a timeout here because the center, co-captain on the offense, Steve Bonata, told the official the ball is wet and he wants to change, and he can request that anytime. And the official is obliging him to keep the ball dry. Very important for a center to know that. Don't take any chances under these conditions. There's Steve Bonata, number 60, starter last year.
It's a quarterback. It was always nice beginning to drive in the opponent's territory, particularly around the 30-yard line. So Kochicki is looking at a 3rd and 3. Andrews in motion. Pitch to Camizio. Good block by number 41, Lorano, and Camizio gets the 1st down at the 20-yard line. Tom Ramsey on the stop for the Big Green. Although it's very disheartening from a defensive point of view when you got to begin to shore up the troops at your own 31-yard line.
We're getting some scores in here. We have first quarter score. Harvard leads Columbia 7-0. Holy Cross and Lafayette, no score in the first quarter. Lafayette we will be looking at next week as they play Columbia in New York. We will be doing that game next Saturday.
Well, they bring a measurement, and he's got a 1st down. But just outside the Dartmouth 20-yard line, Penn will look at a 1st and 10. Penn beginning to shuttle in a lot of different backs in their backfield and keeping the Dartmouth defense honest. Chickia, handoff to Camizio. It's about 2. Number 98, Chris Baelish, on the stop, outside linebacking position for Dartmouth.
It's important now. Penn is keeping the ball on the ground. They want to minimize the mistakes. The rain is coming down. They want to get another score. They feel confident about their running game. They've got the backs to run up behind an experienced offensive line, particularly on the right side, in Bonato, Panzini, and Marty Peterson, the right tackle.
2nd down 6. Give to Flynn. He's got some room, and he's very close to a 1st down at the 11-yard line. Winslow, number 96 for Dartmouth.
With the
excuse me, Bob, on the bottom of that swan dive by Chris Flynn.
The ability to cut back, and that was a counter play, and the quickness of Chris Flynn. The linebackers have to stay at home. That time Winslow did, but when he looked up, he gave up about 5 yards. The Penn attack is versatile and quick, and they're really moving the football. We have another measurement. They get a first down here. They're going to have that ball very close to the 10-yard line.
We got some updated scores from other Ivy League games as Harvard and Cornell extend their leads. And we've got another first down for Penn.
Now the defense has to come up with a big play. They can't afford to lay back. Dartmouth's got to gamble in here. Penn's been running the football. They've got to get down and come after him and force some loss of yardage.
Verano still in at fullback. Comizio back in at tailback. He and Flynn are alternating. Andrews, the wide receiver. 2 tight ends. Pitch to Comizio. And he gets down just inside the 8. Jeff Lee in there along with John Furman.
Both linebackers came up and forced him. Again, they ran that play back into the sideline, away from the field, trying to make yardage. They've been successful running both Comizio and Flynn that way. That time the Dartmouth defense held up. This is a situation, we talk about experienced quarterbacks, and you know this from your own experience. It's nice to have a quarterback when you're going in for a drive like this who's been in this situation before, right?
2nd and 8, just inside the 10. Chicky rolling. He's got Saunders at the 1-yard line, out of bounds. First completion for Jim Krachickia.
And that was excellently run by Saunders. He was in the end zone, and he came back to the football. He got away from the defender. He separated himself, and Krachickia put the ball right there. It was a well-executed play.
You know, the quarterbacking technique is not so much throw at your receiver, but it's throwing away from the defender. And that was run textbook style. 3rd down and 2 from the 3. Comizio. Touchdown, Penn. Second effort. Puts Penn on top, 13-0. He was stopped at the 1, but 5'9", 200. That's the human bowling ball.
Exactly right, and he ran up behind the experience. Bonato the center, Panzini the right guard. You see it on the right side, 68 Panzini, Marty Peterson 76. There's enough of a seam there, and with his ability to bounce off of blocks, balance, there's the example. Touchdown Penn, and they're moving away from Dartmouth.
Jim Glass to attempt the extra point. Dan McNally, the 3rd quarterback, will do the holding. A little slow. Penalty down. The kick is good. It looks like they ran into the kicker, which will be declined. So Penn leads at 14-0, 8:52 left in the first half. Brian Dowling with Bob Cassiola, Hanover, New Hampshire. That play covered 31 yards in 9 plays.
Just the way you want it. Took a little over 4 minutes to complete. They took some time off the clock. And here we go again. Just an isolation play. Comizio following his fullback up over the right side of his line of scrimmage. Great balance. And he gets into the end zone for the score. Pennsylvania utilizing both their tailbacks here in the first half. Rich Comizio, Chris Flynn, each getting the touchdowns, and they're up by 2 touchdowns. And now Dartmouth has to come back. They've got to try and get some points here in the first half. Psychologically, it's very important for them to go in at halftime, at least with some points on the board and the ability to know they can score and move the football against Penn. They've done it so far. They just haven't sustained the drives.
It also shows you the benefit of a winning program where you get the types of players where you've got 2 fullbacks, you got 2 tailbacks, you got 3 tight ends alternating. It's very tough wearing the defense down.
And there's one of our own right there doing a great job under those conditions. That's very true. Your comments are well taken. Depth in the Penn program is something a lot of teams don't have the luxury of right now in the Ivy League. They've not only sustained their winning record, but they've kept enough players into the program, and they're recruiting their program, recruiting well enough so that they can come up and substitute 2 or 3 different people, and that's very important. You were right about that last call on the extra point. They roughed the holder that time, and they've added the penalty on here in the kickoff, and Grass will be kicking from the 50-yard line.
Well, now's the time for Dartmouth to sustain a drive and at least get some points on the board to get back in the game. Short kick by Grass, high, taken at the 3-yard line, out to the 18-yard line. Chris Pollard, who they're very high in, a sophomore, had a very good freshman season along with Craig Morton.
You know, trailing 14-0. There's still well over 8 minutes on the clock in the second quarter, but Dartmouth's got to get back in the game. They may not be able to just run the football. They may do it here to try and get some first downs, but once they get in decent field position, I got to believe Gabinelli's going to have to put the ball up and try and get some bigger yardage through the pass, and also get this game back in focus. If they don't, I don't know that they can spend the whole afternoon trying to run against this Penn defense.
Okay, Dufresne up the middle for very little yardage. Bring up a 2nd down and 9. Brown jumping on top of Yale. And some scores outside the Ivy League. 2nd and 9 from the 18. Gabinelli the quarterback. Drury flexed at tight end. Short dump to Terrain. Picks up about 3 or 4 yards. Brought down by Hippensteel. Fangmeyer again on the play.
That's a good
also
call.
Brad Hines, excuse me, Bob.
That's a good call because you can't get it all in one shot. That time they came to the outlet. They released the back out of the backfield over the middle. He's looking at about 3rd down and 4, but he's got to make these 3rd down and 4s now. Penn, of course, is in the driver's seat. The defense is up by 14 points. They can lay back and play good zone coverage, or they can come after him. I think now, early in this ball game yet, they'll just lay back and make Gabinelli try and find that open receiver.
Gabinelli to Morton. Incomplete. And it shows the effects of the wet ball, which he had enough yardage for the 1st down, but a little bit high.
That was a spot pass. He was looking for 25 Morton right from the start. He cut in the middle, pretty tight coverage by the Penn secondary, particularly by the cornerback here, but he just couldn't hold on to it. It could have been a wet ball. It could have been just a lack of concentration, wanting to catch that ball and turn and run before he really had it in his hands.
Kevin Griffin again to punt from his own 23. Standing on his 10. Flynn again deep for Penn. Low wobbling. Flynn's got it to 50. And well defended by the Dartmouth special teams. Number 80, Matt Drury, and number 79, Tom Ramsey, in on the stop. So Penn will put it in play again in Dartmouth territory. It makes offense very easy when you only have to go 30 or 40 yards to get some points. 27-yard punt and 3-yard return. He's kicking slightly into a drizzle, which affects the punting just like the wind would. Perchicki is still the quarterback. I formation. Andrews in motion. Play fake. Cavizio eludes one. Number 99, Baelish, gets him from the backside.
Great job of
98.
Pressure by the Dartmouth defense, particularly the interior of the Dartmouth defense. McBride, the nose tackle, and Muehlhauser, the defensive tackle, got in on Perchicki, and that time, for the first time, up 14-0. Penn said, let's go get one quick. They decided to throw on 1st down, had good field position, but Dartmouth made the big play. They forced him into 2nd and long.
after about 2 yards, Nigel Eckern, which is a good call on 2nd and long, but Eckern stayed home and waited for the draw.
Well, they burned him already on that draw play twice, and that time the linebacker stayed where he was supposed to be, and that's another big play. Now they forced him in 3rd and 12, and for the first time, Jim Krochickia really has to come up with a big 3rd down pass here.
3rd and 12, just Dartmouth territory. Mike Heisey in motion. Play fake, the screen to Comizio. Met there by number 53, Rusty Gardner. Comizio shows his strength and picks some more yards up, but well defended by the Dartmouth defense.
Good call on the offensive side of things. When we see this develop right away, it's off a little sprint draw action, and notice Comizio, who he faked to, slides out of the backfield to the right side. But the defense, led by Rusty Gardner, the co-captain, came up to make the play, forcing Pennsylvania into a punting situation.
4th and 8 at Dartmouth 45. Bosnot again. Puts it down to the 12, and no room there. Rob Comby had no place to run, and that's the only thing he could do is go down.
That's a good possession punt, 33-yard punt, kept the ball in play, gave his defenders, as they came down underneath the punt, to cover it. Cumbie never had a chance. Dartmouth again puts the ball in play deep in their own territory, and the pressure's on their quarterback, their co-captain Dave Gabinelli, number 10. He's got to get this thing going. If anybody can do it, it's Gabinelli.
5:40 left in the first half. Penn ahead 14-0. Dartmouth 1st and 10 on their own 13. Drury again in the flex formation at tight end. Give the Terrain the eye back. He's got some room. Out to the 30-yard line. Fangmeyer made as the safety. He's the last man there.
That was a great run and a good job on the right side. This comes off of just an inside isolation play. Terrain breaks it outside to the slot and gets upfield. That's where you make yardage, getting north-south. He makes the big play, gets up over the 30-yard line. That's the kind of gain they needed, and that gives Dartmouth a chance now, if they want to throw the ball. They've got better field position.
It opens the playbook. You can do more plays from 30 to 30 than you can inside your own 15. Give the Terrain again. Pickup of about 2. Bruce McConnell along with Rick Inskeep.
What happens in situations like this is you're trailing, you're behind, you want to get back in the ballgame, you come to the people who have proven themselves. Ernie Terrain, the senior, has done it over and over again. He could be worn down after a while, but if you're going to get back in the game, let's do it with the people who can accomplish it and have done it over the years, and Ernie Terrain is one of the better tailbacks that Dartmouth has had in recent years.
2nd and 8, 34. Gabinelli looking underneath for Drury, and
looking for Drury. And number 37 from Pennsylvania, Mike Waller, was all over him.
He had him covered like a glove.
Well, as you know, on that play, which is across the tight end crossing underneath, the only way you can cover him is to run with him or hold him. Drury sort of felt that time he had him, and here you see it, and he's
holding.
Yeah, it's a question of whether he held him before or after the pass. Anyway, they didn't call it. We got a 3rd down and 7.
Gabinelli on the draw Terrain. Good move at the line of scrimmage. Penalty marker down. Bruce McConnell again on the stop.
Excellent bit of running there by Ernie Terrain. He really didn't have anywhere to go, but he made yardage out of nothing. I think this is going to go against Dartmouth. It's probably going to go against the offensive line. The penalty flag was thrown in the vicinity of the left tackle, Dave Kitchen, number 70.
Bob, is that kind of penalty usually determined by the official on the side, or is the one behind the defensive line?
Well, it can be determined by a lot of people. The umpire's in position to call it too, but that time it came from the linesman's side of the field, and it was definitely against the left side of the offensive line. I got to believe it was on the tackle. Tough play because now it forces Dartmouth back into a 3rd and 16. Dictating, again, the defensive Penn will dictate here. They're coming with 4, and they're laying back with their linebackers. They're faking the linebackers right now, but basically they're playing zone coverage. Backside rush.
Gabinelli, and he was going for Swerk, but there were 4 white shirts around. Fangmeyer, the most prominent. That was more of a hope to God than a legitimate shot getting a first down.
Well, it was a 3rd and 16. Dartmouth really, that time again. Gabinelli has been in 2 long yardage passing situations. Both times he's put the ball up with a lot of people around. A little bit frustrated. He really didn't have time that time because he was getting backside pressure from the Penn defense.
Griffin again will punt from his own 15. Flynn at his 45. Wrapped up and gets away. Gets to the 50-yard. That's a heck of a 5-yard return. Bruce Fry on the tackle. But between Comizio and Flynn, these guys are slippery. I don't know if it's all the rain.
Well, that's the difference. When you have that kind of an athlete, Chris Flynn, number 27, the ability to break that tackle, and as you said, make 5 yards out of nothing, puts tremendous pressure on the defense. Great job. That was a 30-yard punt, 5-yard return. Penn gets the ball on their own 45-yard line with just under 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Changing the football is very important in a game under these conditions, that the officials keep a dry ball in the ball game. You know that better than anybody. And they do it, and it's also important for the players to remind them, especially the center.
Excuse me, Bob. The thing that bothered me the most was the new balls had that slickum on it from the treatment that new balls, and you have to throw them in the grass a few times before they get that off so you can throw it. Pachikia, 1st and 10 from his own 44. Give to Comizio on the cross buck. Picks up about 1. Rusty Gardner and number 79, Tom Ramsey, in on the stop.
Linebackers at Dartmouth starting to stay at home and play their positions. The experienced Rusty Gardner, the co-captain, missed the '85 season with a knee injury, came back this year, stayed there in the middle, kept it to a very short gain. Again, Penn looking at 2nd and 8.
Dartmouth employing the odd defense, man on the nose. Tricky looking for Novoselsky just behind him, but he gunned it in there.
First time he's come to the big tight end, Brent Novoselsky, now a junior. We saw him last year as a sophomore, just an outstanding season. At 6'3", 235, he's got the ability to block on the line of scrimmage and also the ability to catch the ball in the flat or go deep. That time Perchikia was looking for him in the middle, about 15 yards, threw it a little bit behind him.
We saw Krachikia's stats, not impressive, but when you got tailbacks like Flynn and Comizio, you don't have to do too much. 3rd down and 8. Krachikia looking complete at the just into Dartmouth territory. Andrews.
That was a good job by Krachikia. He was short of the first down. He had pressure on him that time. The people were starting to get into his face, but he kept the ball moving. Although they got to punt the ball, he did complete the pass, and they should, with a good punt, put again Dartmouth in deep in their own territory. You mentioned Krachikia, and you mentioned the ability of the tailbacks of Penn to run. The truth of the matter is that Penn, although they won the Ivy title last year, was rather inconsistent on offense, and a lot of it had to do with the quarterback play. And here comes one of the great traditions in Dartmouth football, right here.
That was not even one of their mascots.
That's right. Now here comes the 4th. When there's a real tense moment on the field over the years, there's always been a dog that came on the field to stop play, and it's happened. You know the names of most of those, don't you?
Well,
attended practice
yesterday? 2 of them, Remus and Clint. Bosnach gets some pressure and a penalty.
They got him.
Not too much question about what that penalty was. He running into the kicker. So Penn will have a first down.
Here's Fasnacht. Little high pass from center.
Occasionally they act, but not on this one.
But this time as he gets it away, and it's way late, as from the left side, number 40 for Dartmouth, Brett Matthews, the defensive back, comes in and catches him. It's a good call, but what it does here, it gives Dartmouth a first down deep in Penn territory with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left on the clock. Penn has a chance to get another score, and that could be very, very discouraging for this Dartmouth football team.
Well, it moves it down to the 34 of Dartmouth. Penn now looking at a golden opportunity to up their lead. Tricky at quarterback. Andrews in motion. And a penalty marker down.
We're going to have a little movement on the right side. Looks like maybe the right guard Panzini jumped before the snap.
Dead ball. Siege. Offense.
So that will knock them back 5 yards.
Here's the right guard. As you can see, Perchikia at quarterback, the right guard just sort of nudges forward a little bit. They called it on him.
Dead ball. Illegal procedure. We're winding. Snap.
1st and 15, pushes the ball back to the Dartmouth 39-yard line.
I guess you can't play offensive line if you have any nervous tics, huh?
Which is...
Give to Clar, and he's got the 5 that they lost. Brought down by Rusty Gardner. So they get the 5 back, although they wasted down, but it brings up a 2nd down and 9. Still in very good position. 1:47 left in the half. As Rusty looks over to the sideline for his defensive signals. A little shifting by Novoselsky and Saunders. A pitch to Flynn, a cutback. And this time, not much room. Gardner on the stop.
Good job by Rusty Gardner, and also in the ball game now at the nose position is John Jakimick, who played off the block. But what they did not permit him to do, and here's Gardner, as you see, they did not permit Flynn to cut back. He loves to do it. There is Gardner and Jakimick making the play on the line of scrimmage. And now it's 3rd and 8. Krzyzewski is looking at putting the ball in the air.
He drops it, fumble recovered by Dartmouth. So they avoid the turnover on the kick penalty.
Very interesting call. 3rd down, 7 yards, 8 yards to go, deep in Dartmouth's territory, up by 14 points. And Penn elects to run a draw play here, and he really never gets the ball into Camizio. He never had a handle on it. That really was the quarterback's fault there. He did not secure the ball.
Hit him on the hip. It's interesting to note they didn't throw once in that, even after the penalty, which started the drive at 1st and 15.
Yeah, very conservative when you're up by 14 points.
1st and 10 for Dartmouth, their own 26. Terrain, about 3 yards.
Dartmouth with all 3 timeouts. The clock is ticking. They've got to try and put the ball up and get something deep here. They can't afford to set on a 14-0 deficit.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't try anything, because a fumble or a turnover on a tip pass could give Penn that 3rd touchdown or that field goal. And you know, I think maybe Joe might be content with just a 14-0 deficit.
Well, it looks like he is
again, and nothing on the left side.
He's definitely content. He figures he wants to go in and maybe
Mike Lista from the nose tackle, defensive right tackle, making the stop. So Dartmouth will be content to run it out, trailing 14-0. Clock stops with 2 seconds.
Very interesting. Pennsylvania called a timeout with 2 seconds to go. An interesting call, unless they feel maybe they get another shot here and force a fumble. But with only 2 seconds left, it doesn't really make sense to call a timeout at this juncture.
Had it been 6 seconds, they might have, and then had a chance to block the 4th down punt. But you're right, it doesn't make much sense. Well, we've got an anxious group of sideline activists ready for some halftime activity.
Yeah, we're going to see that in a moment.
3rd and 10 for Dartmouth. More than likely, Gavin will just fall on the ball. Give to Frayne, and no gain. As the half ends, Penn 14, Dartmouth nothing. In the opener for both teams on the first week in 1986, Ivy League football. And then you slow them down. That's the only way you can move the ball.
And Jim Crocicki, the quarterback, the senior quarterback, who last year had an in-and-out season, as we mentioned earlier, had some brilliant games and then had some games where he was under a lot of pressure and really made some mistakes. But this year he's come back. He's a fine physical specimen, as we know, at 6'3", 205 pounds. He's got a strong arm, and he was given the nod today as the starter. And he's taking over the second half, and he's confident. And here we see Pennsylvania, their first touchdown from the I formation. They're running a little toss sweep. Chris Flynn starts to the right, and look at this ability, and here's the cut. As Dartmouth over pursues, they get a block on the linebacker. With his speed and his quickness, he ends up in the end zone, and Penn's on top 7-0.
And you can't teach that. You can't teach the elusive running. And here's Comizio with the second touchdown. Just brute strength, barreling over his own man, and then 2 Dartmouth people to get in the end zone.
When you got to tackle shoulder pads, as you saw there, you got trouble. You're not going to make the play, and Comizio runs so low to the ground with great balance.
Well, he's starting low too. He's only 5'9", so he doesn't present a big target for the defenders.
Very important here as Dartmouth kicks off. Penn has the choice. It's important for the Dartmouth defense to hold Penn and get the football back to their offense as soon as they can.
O'Gara with the kickoff. Deep for Penn is number 42, Jim Bruni. He has some room. He's got some room. He's got some. Only man left is the kicker, and he's got him out at the into Dartmouth territory, down to the 47-yard line. Jim O'Gara getting his baptism in the fire, kicking off and then making the tackle.
Big play by Jim Bruni, the junior tailback. He's number 3. He's number 3 in the depth chart, but he's got a lot of ability. He plays behind Flynn and Comizio, so when he gets this chance on the kickoff team, getting some great blocking, he shows his ability. Big play for the Penn offense.
Again, great field position for the Penn offense. 1st and 10 at the Dartmouth 47. Checky of the hand at Comizio, up the middle for about 3 yards.
It's a great uplift for your offense when you can return the ball in that kind of position, as you well know. And with this experienced up front group of Panzini and Bonato on the line, and Marty Peterson at right tackle, they're going to put the ball right down the Dartmouth throats. They're going to force them to stop their best plays with their best runner. In this case, it's Rich Comizio at tailback.
And starting in their territory, there's no pressure on the offense. They can do pretty much whatever they want. Comizio strung out and picks up about 2. Number 40 Brett Matthews and 44 Comby run him out of bounds.
Great play by Matthews, the rover back, the guy who usually lines up to the formation strength and comes up and makes the play. Made a big tackle on Comizio in the open field. As we look again at head coach Ed Zubro on the sideline talking to his defensive players. As we know, he was the defensive line coach. Joe Ukika on the other side. He's got to get this defense to make the stop here and get the ball back for his offense to get back in this ball game.
3rd and 6. Double wing setup. Penalty marker down. Krachicki underneath to Saunders. He's got the first down. Have to check out the penalty. Down to the 27, brought down by Rusty Gardner. Gardner's mentioned his name a lot. He's a very active linebacker.
Offense. Offense.
Flag on the play.
Legal procedure, big call against the Penn offense that time. That was a big pass play because they got Saunders underneath the coverage and gave him a chance to use his speed to get upfield. He got the first down. The legal procedure is going to push this back, and they're going to come up with a 3rd and about 10.
A very hard play to defend, too. The underneath pass, clearing out. Defenders have to get into their drops, and it's really a controlled pattern, but you get a wide receiver with some moves. Dartmouth with Morton and Penn with Andrews and Saunders. It's a very effective play.
Once again, Jim Krocicki in a 3rd and long situation. Obvious to put the ball up, but he's got in the ball game the combination of Comizio and Flynn at this time, one at fullback and the other at tailback.
Krocicki looking for Saunders, and incomplete, covered by Greg McBride.
McBride, the nose guard, beat the center's block, beat Bonato in the middle, and got up into Krocicki's face, and he really didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance to set. Consequently, as Saunders here releases off the line of scrimmage to make his out cut, he's going to be open. Krocicki just did not have enough time to deliver the football. Pressure from the interior created that situation.
Okay, Dartmouth forced to punt one of the few times. We'll try to angle it out. Tim Stretch with the ball at the 10 and well covered by Penn special teams.
Give Stretch credit, though. Number 13, he fielded that ball. He could have easily backed away and let it bounce, and it probably would have ended up inside the 10-yard line. But he did catch it, and at least Dartmouth's got the ball out on the 13-yard line, and they're going to have to put a better mixture into their plays. Don't you agree? They're going to have to open up a little bit.
Well, they got to get a couple of first downs, too, to open up the playbook. But you're right. They've got to negate this aggressive Penn defense. 1st and 10 from his own 13. Gabinelli, terrain, got some room, and he's got a first down, or very close to it, out to the 23-yard line. Brad Hines, Penn's rover, making the tackle.
That's the one positive thing in the Dartmouth offense today. It's Ernie Terrain and his ability to run inside and outside. Here he starts up following his fullback to the right side, and as he breaks it to the outside, he's got enough speed and quickness to make good yardage and get a first down. And they need a sustained drive here. They've got to get up around midfield and then open up this offense and see what happens.
So he did get enough for the first down. Slot formation to the wide side. Swerk in motion. Gabinelli. And dropped for a 10-yard loss by number 30, Jeff Fortner.
You can't afford to take those kind of losses, Brian, as you well know. In this situation, you don't want negative plays. You really never had a chance to get rid of the ball here. Fortner, the seasoned, experienced, aggressive linebacker, comes in and makes a big play, pushes Dartmouth back, and now 2nd and 21. Tough situation to be in, deep in your own territory.
Gabinelli not with the quickness to elude that type of linebacker for Penn. Terrain again to the 20 and out to the 28-yard line. Run out of bounds by Wilson, and also Hippenfield was there.
It's a big play. Again, the ability of Ernie Terrain to break outside. Penn was stacked up inside, and he broke the play to the left side to his split end side with enough speed to get that ball up out around the 30-yard line. And now, after that big gain, Dartmouth's looking at 3rd and 5.
Of course, a legitimate chance to pick up the first down. Gabinelli looking for Morton underneath, but pressured there by number 65. Dexter Desir, the nose guard, and he has not been hurt. Has not put a lot of pressure on Gabinelli, but there Morton was wide open and really made the play for Penn.
Desir is the senior nose guard, the leader on the team, really. He has worked very hard in the offseason, building himself up and also promoting some of the younger players to get involved. He's very strong and agile, and they look for him, and they'll be looking all year for him to make those kind of plays in crucial situations. He is quick, and he can get penetration, and he's forcing Dartmouth now into a punting situation.
Griffin from his own 12 gets it up. Flynn at his own 41, and well defended this time. I I think the Dartmouth special teams are learning to hold their ground.
Exactly. They don't want to make aggressive moves. They've got to sit and wait and let him fake around and hope for the other 11 guys to get involved in the play. They covered it very well, and they forced him to a short gain on a 46-yard punt by Dartmouth. And now Pennsylvania starts out on their own 45.
Still great field position, but at least, as far as Dartmouth is concerned, not in their territory. Andrews in motion. Kochickia looking for Saunders, and incomplete. A little short hop action. Well defended by Andy Russell.
Andy Russell, the free safety, right in the path of the pass. It had to be perfect. Kochickia threw it low, but Kochickia threw the ball on first down. Penn realizing they're going to open up a little bit and change their approach the second half, throwing the ball a little bit more often. Very interesting also to see Chris Flynn is in at tailback in place of Camizio.
2nd and 10 from his own, just inside the 45. Kochickia on the give to Flynn. He's got some room on the outside and ruled out of bounds just into Dartmouth territory, so it'll bring up a 3rd and 4.
Camizio out of the game, Flynn in. Flynn's ability to cut back against the grain. We've got a penalty flag down in addition, as he was hit as he was going out of bounds. So this may tack on an even bigger yardage. But anyway, Flynn coming to the weak side of the formation, cutting back, and he slips blocks as people look like they really have a shot at him. He makes that play and he slips by him, and that time...
Get a dead ball. Flipping. There.
Well, that's a break for Dartmouth. Usually when you throw the flag in the sidelines where in the sidelines area, it's a late hit, but in a way you can't blame Dartmouth, because the way Camizio and Flynn stand on their feet, they want to get him down, but
Bust it down. 3rd down.
sometimes enthusiasm pays the price.
Here's the penalty, number 76. The offensive tackle, Marty Peterson, coming from the backside and hitting the Dartmouth man right on the sideline in the back. That's the call. Penn is pushed back. They're looking at 3rd down and 25.
Double wing setup for Kochickia. And the quick handoff to Clark up the middle. And he gets about half of it back, but it'll still be way short of a 1st down.
Very interesting call when you think it's 3rd and long. People are looking for the pass. They run a little trap play inside, made good yardage. They're going to be forced to punt the football here on 4th down. But it was a safe call, and they're hoping now the punt will drive Dartmouth and deep into their own territory. They'll get field position back.
Hey, Bob, as a coach, why does he delay in sending the punt
Because
team
he
out?
wants to hold the Dartmouth defense on their substitution. They may have to hold the players in who are looking for a run or pass play, and they have to substitute late. Just a mix-up.
Fosnock deep for Penn and gets a high kick. Fair catch called there by 44 Rob Comby, and penalty marker down at the spot of the reception. So it's
This penalty,
Got interference with the opportunity to make the catch.
well, you heard it. That's exactly what happened. The ability of Comby to come up and make a clean catch. They were too close to him, according to the official right here. Pretty questionable call. And Dartmouth, I think, gets the break on a 33-yard punt by Pennsylvania.
Okay, 1st down.
okay, so Dartmouth will put it in play from their own 24. Gabinelli, the quarterback, and the rain seems to be letting up a little bit, so it's got to open up the passing situation for him. Pitch to Terrain. Got a block by Dufresne, but well defended by number 45, Bruce McConnell, and also number 37, Rick Inskeep. Linebackers very active for Penn.
They're active. They've got speed. They don't have the size they had last year, but they've got excellent speed in McConnell and Inskeep and Hippensteel. They all can run to the football. The question will be, can they stand up against the run when they run right at them? So far today, they've done the job. Dartmouth has to open up the offense. It's 2nd down and 9. I've got to believe Gavinelli's going to put the ball up here, but I think they've got to mix their plays a little better and start throwing on the early downs.
Looking to throw underneath to Swerk, but only picks up about 2 yards. Hippensteel waiting for the crossing pattern underneath.
Penn is depending, and really they're doing the job of their front three, Lista and Sabastanelli, the quarterbacks, the defensive tackles rather, and Desir, putting the pressure on and letting their defenders, their 4 linebackers, drop into the intermediate zones, and that's why Dartmouth really can only come to that short underneath pattern for the short gains.
So Gavinelli looks at a 3rd down and 7.
38, 45.
Screen, Dufresne, he's got some blockers, he's got some room. Out to the 40-yard line and over for a 1st down. Big play for Dartmouth. Brought down there by Steve Johnson.
Excellent call and well executed by the quarterback Gavinelli. He just makes a quick fake to Dufresne and dumps this ball off just in time. He's got the rush coming at him. He waited long enough. Dufresne, the fullback, who's got the quickness to get upfield and make the 1st down. They need 1st downs here.
That's the type of play that's going to slow that pass rush down, and
good call.
He's going to do more of it. Gavinelli again looking for Drury. He's got him on the sideline. He's got another 1st down. Out of bounds into Penn territory, down on the 44-yard line. Number 46, Brad Hines, knocking Drury out of bounds. Again, the tight end underneath, which is a very effective play.
And exactly, and they come with, on a 1st down, a good strong fake here to Terrain, running inside, holds the linebackers, permitting the outside release of Drury. Good call. That's the kind of changeup we've been talking about. That's what they need to move the football.
Now Joe's taken off his hat and his rain gear, so he's warming up too, right? Terrain about 1. Hippensteel and number 30 Fortna in on the tackle, along with most of the Penn interior defensive line.
Can't say enough about Jeff Fortner. Jeff Fortner, the outside linebacker, can play off the ball or on the line of scrimmage. That time he came right up on the line of scrimmage and made the tackle from his outside position. Again, he's the leader. Physical player at 6 foot 220. Also a very experienced player.
Brought a Terrain. He's got some room. And he's got another 1st down to the 34-yard line of Penn. Rick Inskeep pulls him down after 12-yard gain.
And that's the experience. He made the play by staying upfield and not trying to veer outside. He knows he's got to get 1st downs. And the experienced ball player was going for the chains that time. He sure did it. And Ernie Terrain got the 1st down, and Dartmouth's on the drive here.
You know, he doesn't look like a fire plug, but he's 5'11", 200 too. So he's built a lot like Cavizio is, but he shows he's got the elusiveness too. Drury again down the sidelines, and he's ruled out of bounds just inside the 20, which will give Dartmouth another 1st down. James Fangmar, really, Joe's putting some play, really keeping Penn defense off balance.
Here you see the secondary. The rover back drops off, and underneath here, number 80, comes Drury to catch the ball. The wide receiver has cleared the area out and gives Drury a chance to get upfield and make a big gain. But the change in the attack, the ability to throw off the play fake on 1st down, is getting the Dartmouth offense rolling.
Terrain and out of bounds at the 16-yard line, which will bring up a 2nd and 6. Yeah, the effectiveness of Terrain running opens up that play, draw fake, and then the short dump to the tight.
Exactly, and that's what you got to do. You got to come off your strongest running play to throw the ball on the early downs, and that's what Gavinelli is doing right now.
Second down, 6. 2 tight ends. Give the Terrain up the middle. close to a first down. He's really got the shiftiness to get through those small holes.
And he got good blocking that time from his center, John Randolph, and the right guard, the experienced Chris Matonis. Here's the play. Just a handoff. The fullback leads him up. He gets the block. 68 Matonis takes the defensive tackle Sebastianelli down. Ernie Terrain gets inside the 10-yard line, and he may have another first down as they bring the chains in.
He's that north and south runner with those east and west moves, so it's he really has a nose for that, getting that yardage.
And he's produced here. He's produced here for 3 years throughout his varsity career. He's just a little bit short of the first down, but Dartmouth will take that. It's third and very short inside the 10. But more importantly, it's a very important year for him. This is his last year, and he wants to go out a winner. He's told that to everybody. He's a big, durable back, and he's played very well today. He's fast approaching the 100 yards already in this contest.
So third down and about a half a foot. Two tight ends. The sneak. And they're very close. We'll have to see where they mark it. Interesting to note that the head official signals the first down, and he doesn't even have the best view.
Well, let's not get on officials.
No.
We got a whole season to judge those
second guess.
Right.
I mean, he was correct, but
he's got the first down. He's got the first down, and that's important. And it's inside the 10-yard line. And now, of course, the Penn defense will get tighter. They'll probably go to man coverage, play much more aggressively when the field shortens in this area.
Terrain and nothing. Parsons led the charge of about 5 gang tackling Penn defenders.
So important that your first down play gains yardage. When you come up with a loss, even in this situation, it changes all your thinking. Now, instead of first and goal on the 9, they have a 2nd and 10, and it's almost inevitable they've got to come up with some kind of a play fake, something that's going to get them some decent yardage.
Staying with the 2 tight ends, 2nd and 10. Looking for Morton, and he's got it. Touchdown, Dartmouth.
That is such an important play for this Dartmouth football team at this point of the football game. You can see the enthusiasm on the sidelines, and there is Craig Morton, the speedy sophomore, who made a big play, a big touchdown here. Dartmouth will kick the extra point, go with a kick. First varsity game for Morton, first touchdown, varsity touchdown in his career.
Here, the extra point, one of the few straight-ahead kickers still left in college football, puts the 7th point on the board. So we've got a football game. Penn 14, Dartmouth 7. 5:11 left in the third quarter, and Dartmouth's fired up.
They sure are. They drove 75 yards in 13 plays, and they made it. This is nothing more than the fade pattern. The quarterback takes a 3-step drop. The receiver runs and breaks right to the corner. He puts the ball over the outside shoulder. The defender playing man for man is out of position. In that case, it was Tommy Flynn, the senior cornerback. They get 6 points. Beautifully executed play.
The key there on the receiver is not to fade too quickly, is to run straight up the field with an outside position. Let the quarterback throw it over his outside shoulder and adjust the ball. Perfectly executed. I think we're going to see a lot more of Craig Morton.
Yes, we are, because of his speed and his ability to get deep. He's got to be the key factor in not only this game, but throughout the season for the Big Green of Dartmouth. Craig Morton again, the sophomore. Plymouth, Michigan, was the leading receiver on the freshman team last year, scored 9 touchdowns on the freshman team. They only play 6 games. That's a lot of scores.
A lot of production. O'Gara with the kickoff. Flynn deep at his own 6. And gets just over the 20-yard line, where Penn will put it in play in one of the poorer field positions that they've enjoyed all afternoon.
And you just see the enthusiasm. There's the sustained scoring drive of Dartmouth. 13 plays, a little over 4.5 minutes, 75 yards for the score. They're right back in the ball game, and now we'll see the enthusiasm, if it transfers itself right over to their defense. They've got Penn deep in their territory.
Camizio, about 3. Gardner on the stop. They're more than likely going to punch it out a little bit, get a little better field position, and then maybe try to open it up.
Well, one of the questions on this Penn team is their throwing ability. Not only the passing ability, but they really don't have the speed on the outside positions. That's why they were excited about the return of Rob Andrews, because he gives them that speed. Let's see if they're willing to open it up deep in their territory, looking at 2nd and 7.
It's Andrews in motion. Draw to Camizio. He's got the first down and a lot more out to almost the 40-yard line. Brett Matthews there on the stop for Dartmouth. It's the type of thing that Ukika wanted to defend against, is the big chunks of yardage.
And this is the little draw play off the I formation. Good blocking up front, excellent blocking in the offensive line, especially by the fullback Joe Lorano. 41 permits Camizio to make that kind of yardage. And when in doubt, when in trouble, you come to the proven players, the Camizios, the Flynns. It's exactly what Penn did in that situation.
Flynn, 45, out to the 50, posted another first down, and he's where it's spotted. It is another first down. Scott Russert on the stop.
You know, this Penn team, which took a 14-0 lead, sort of went into a relaxed mode for a while, and now they're picking it up. They know Dartmouth got close, and you can see the, the experience starting to come to play, and also they know that the offense has got to take the pressure off their defense. Rich Camizio out of the game right now, but already in 20 rushes has over 100 yards.
I see in motion, bottom of your screen. Give to Clark. Gets about 2. Bring up a 2nd down and 8. Penn shuttling in a lot of different players.
They're coming in with Brent Novoselsky. He's been out for a little bit. Scott Scungio, the senior tight end, was in the ball game. They bring him in now on a 2nd and 8 situation. We might look for him as a receiver. He's been rather quiet today. He was a very important receiver in this offense a year ago.
Double wing formation. 2nd and 8. Chikia underneath to Saunders. He's got it. And another first down, brought down by number 55, Nigel Eckern. Both teams like that underneath pattern.
They do that, especially that time they shift the tight end. We see that when they break the formation, the tight end will line up on the right side, and he'll shift before the snap to the left side. As you know, all they're doing is changing the strength when they move the tight end. By doing that, they isolated Saunders to this side, and they brought him underneath, and he was wide open.
And nothing like to help the confidence of a quarterback to hit those short ones.
Exactly.
Camizio over right tackle, dives down to about the 32. Bring up a 2nd down and 5.
This is the real measure of a football team, and I think it shows how Penn is a good, solid football team. They was scored on. They just took the ball on that kickoff deep in their own territory, and they've got a very fine, sustained drive going, and they're relying on the experience and the proven players. Rich Camizio back in the tailback position right now.
Double wing setup. Pachikia hits Saunders again. Juggles it, but he's a catch. Very close to a first down. Rusty Gardner draped all over Saunders. He's seen that play before, so he was ready for it this time.
He played it well. He was looking for Saunders. You can see him drop off. He knows where Saunders is, and he does a good job of coming up late on him and making the hit. But Saunders concentrating, holds the football. It looks like he may have another first down, and Penn is moving deep in the Dartmouth territory. Just a little bit short.
Dartmouth was first last year in 1AA against the pass in the nation, but they did have their problems against the rush.
We're looking at the offensive coordinator, Dick Maloney. Dick Maloney calls all the plays for the Penn offense. He was the offensive line coach for Joe Ukiga at Dartmouth last year.
Chickia's stats improving a little bit, but still not very impressive. But he's looking at the upside of a 14-7 lead. Flynn up the middle. Ooh, almost breaks it. He's down at 18. He's not a very heavy back, but he's a tough runner inside. Scott Russert on the stop, along with number 81, Brent Fry.
Tight end Scungio and the whole right side. Marty Peterson, the right tackle, 6'5", 260, one of the bigger players in the Ivy League as an offensive lineman. And Jim Panzina, they just warded off the Dartmouth defenders, and they picked up excellent yardage. 7 yards in this situation. Somebody's got to be doing the job blocking up front.
Delay to Flynn. Again, tough yards inside. Looks like he's got a first down. And that will be the last play of the third quarter.
He's got the first down, and Penn is looking at the football inside the 10-yard line, looking at another score, putting a lot of pressure on the Dartmouth defense.
We'll be back at Memorial Field. Penn leading 14-7 in just a moment. You know, Bob, a lot of players are considered sneaky fast. Sneaky fast. Penn is looking at first down and 6 from the 6.5, 1st and 7. So I was going to say, Bob, some players are considered sneaky fast. Is Flynn considered sneaky strong as an inside runner?
Yeah, I think the more you look at Chris Flynn, the more you see him, the more you start to marvel at his all-around talents. He's got speed, he's got quickness, and he's tough. He's also a very smart player. He makes things happen. He did it last year in a situation against Princeton where he returned a kick, which was a winning score. A lot of question of whether it was legal or not, but he pulled the play off. He does that all the time. He's really an exceptional athlete. Probably could play football in a lot of areas. And one thing about Chris Flynn, he's an outstanding athlete. He's proven it. He's a great lacrosse player.
Okay, first down from the 7, 2 tight ends. Flynn, the tailback. He's got it, and not much up the middle.
Big play on the corner that time for Dartmouth. Coming in from the corner was number 18, Jeff Lee, the linebacker, and he knifed in. He caught Flynn just before he had a chance to make the cut, and that's what you have to do against a back like that. You can't give him a chance to find the seams. He doesn't need a lot of room.
2nd and 6, pickup of about 1. Again, 2 tight ends. Andrews flanked wide to the left. Camizio this time up the middle. He's down to about the 2.
Fumble the ball.
And Dartmouth's got it. Dartmouth's got it. John Winslow, outside linebacker, on the recovery for Dartmouth.
Big play. They just took the ball and decided the 2nd and 7 yards to go right at him. They handed the ball right back here off an isolation to Camizio. He smacks up the middle. He gets hit by Winslow. The ball drops, and it's right there for Winslow, the senior linebacker. Believe it or not, he comes from Tokyo, Japan, number 96. He made the play. Big break. Dartmouth gets it back deep in their own territory, but they prevented a score.
Okay, Dartmouth starts from their own 2, 1st and 10. They give the Dufresne out to about the 5. They just need a little breathing room to open up the offense.
Penn defense in this situation is really, they know they've got him deep. They can come after him. They can get tighter, get up close to the line of scrimmage, play those linebackers in a position to defend against the run. They're betting they're not going to put the ball up, so they're in there playing tough and tight. And the offensive line here just has to get blocks and give their backs a chance to get a little seam to make some yardage.
2nd and 8 from the 5-yard line. Gabinelli. Terrain. Oh, fumble. Gabinelli's got it. It was almost a kick tackle.
Very big play by Dexter Desir, the nose guard who got penetration, upset Terrain, and almost came up with the fumble. As we see it here, here's the play, and Jeff Fortner really is the guy who made the play, the outside linebacker. Fortunately, Gabinelli saw the ball on the ground and pounced on it, but it's deep in Dartmouth territory. They're looking at 3rd and 12. And again, the Penn defense can get up there and come after him.
And also the play selection's limited here. They give to Dufresne straight ahead, and he gets about 1, which will give a restricted area for their punting. It's going to be at the back end of the end zone. Kevin Griffin, he's had some practice today, but not in this type of situation.
Now they've got him deep in their territory. Penn can come after him. He's going to have to back up almost to the back line of the end zone to get this off. The most important thing here is the snap. He's got to get the football, and he's got to get rid of it. He can't afford to step back. Tight formation, tight punt formation by Dartmouth. Bring everybody in to protect. Cuts down on your coverage, and he gets the ball off.
Gets it out. Flynn at his own at the 32. Trips down at about the 27. A break for Dartmouth. So he would have put Penn in even better field position.
Again, the Dartmouth defense must rise to the occasion, but we've got a flag down.
Flag down, holding indicated by the official on Penn. So it'll move the ball out. More than likely, Dartmouth will accept the penalty.
We've got to see what the penalty is first.
Preliminary indication was defensive holding.
Defensive holding would give them a first down. Well, we've got 4 of them talking now, so the next thing we might see is the rule book. But anyway.
No replays in college football.
Yes, okay, it's holding against Dartmouth. They've turned it around now, and now Penn has to decide whether they want to take the ball on their own 27-yard line or have Dartmouth kick it again. They've got good field position, and it's most likely that Penn will take the ball. They've got good field position. Why risk the chance of a fumble or a penalty on their own? Take it there and let's smack it in.
Not much of a decision there with the field position, and at the 27, Penn's not going to risk an outstanding punt and try to do it all over again, or even a fumble. So they'll take over on Dartmouth's 27-yard line, leading 14-7. 12-10 left in the game. And in one respect, Coach Zubrow's got to be sort of disappointed with only 14 points out of the great field position they've had pretty much the whole afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's important now for them to get another score, or they're going to give Dartmouth a chance to really get back in this football game.
Too much time.
Camizio and 72, Dave Gazangani. It's a new defensive player for Dartmouth. Picks up about 3 yards.
Pretty good job on the right side by the Dartmouth defensive line. That time Camizio just trying to run and look for a seam. Never found it. Dartmouth held. 2nd and 7. But again, they're in the 4-down zone here. They can go for it on 4th down. So it's important just to make 3-4 yards per carry if they can.
Quick handoff to Clark up the middle. Might have 1 yard.
Trying to slip the ball to the fullback. Everything's been keyed on the tailbacks for Penn in Flynn and Camizio. That time he tried to give it to his fullback Clark, trying to break him inside. But the defensive lines, particularly John Muehlhauser, the defensive senior tackle, made the play, kept it to a very short gain, and now it's 3rd and 7.
Well, I wonder if we'll see that underneath pass that he's employed the last 2 times out. He's got the 2 wide receivers on the left side, and Penn gets a little over anxious.
Big play. You talk about first game jitters. In this situation, an experienced team should not make those kind of mistakes. The call looks like it went against Scott Ernst, the offensive left tackle for Penn, number 77. He's a senior. He was injured in preseason, came on strong, but that time he got a little over anxious and jumped, knocking him back 5 yards, 3rd and 12, and this changes things. Now you're going to probably see the ball in the air. They've been coming, as you mentioned, to Ken Saunders, the senior wide receiver. It could have been at the center there. Co-captain Steve Bonato was called for moving before the snap. Pretty hard to do when you got the football in your hand.
3rd and 12, split backs. Pachukia in the pocket. And wrapped up there by number 52, Greg McBride, the nose tackle. Putting the pressure on Penn in a passing situation, the kind they haven't been in all afternoon.
And give credit to McBride. He's playing right over Bonato, and he makes the play here. He's just to the offside. He comes underneath, as you see him here. He beats the block of Bonato, and he makes the play on the quarterback. Big defensive stand by Dartmouth. And with 10-12, they've got time. The Penn offense has really flattened out.
He's McBride playing on the noses center pretty much the whole day, being offset a little bit, and then doing the stunt. It really confused the Penn offensive line. Boston with a high punt. Stretch signals for the fair catch at the 8. So Dartmouth will put it in play, avoiding a really clinching touchdown by Penn and really changing the types of plays they can call the rest of the quarter.
That was only a 29-yard punt by Fosnock, but that was a good punt, an excellent position punt. He had the ball in a position where if Dartmouth let it bounce, they could have it inside the 10-yard line. And Stretch made the catch. But give credit to the punter that time for Penn. He did a good job, and he's keeping Dartmouth deep in their own territory.
Gavinelli looking deep for Morton. He's got it out to the 42-yard line of Penn. The type of
we have to give credit to Dartmouth. That's what you got to be able to do. Deep in their own territory, they came up with a play-action fake. Gavinelli threw the ball 60 yards in the air, and he hit his split receiver, Morton, the speedster, who once again took advantage of Tom Flint, the senior cornerback. Beat him. Look at this catch. You can't do it any better.
The key there is throwing it up and letting him run under it. I bet that's as far as Gavinelli can throw. Perfect execution. Terrain in the eye bag. Stopped. Hold, number 65. Dexter Desir, nose guard on the play, and also Hippensteel. It's just throw it down now, run under it.
With this much time in the 4th period, anything can happen. Dartmouth gets better field position. They're right back in the ball game, and again the pressure's on the Penn defense. The Penn defense has done an outstanding job today, but they've got the pressure on them right now.
Well, we talked about the big plays that Dartmouth hadn't been making, and that's one of them, so it puts them in good position. 2nd and 10. Gavinelli to Drury, incomplete.
Tremendous pressure that time on Gavinelli by Mike Lister, the defensive tackle, number 94, and also Desir coming in the middle. Here's the pass. We said earlier, in this ball game, for Dartmouth to be in it, Craig Morton has to be a factor, number 25, the speedster on the outside. He caught the touchdown pass in the end zone earlier. He made the big play right there.
Great concentration, too, as the ball started to tail away from him a little bit. The thing that Morton, they knew he was quick, but it showed that his 4.5 speed there on that fly pattern.
Gavinelli comes to the sideline to talk to Joe Ukika. It's 3rd down and 10. The ball sits on the 42-yard line. They don't want many mistakes here. They've taken the timeout so that they can talk this over. They want to come up with the right call here because it's important. They've got a chance to keep this drive going. Ukika wants to talk to him about it, and they're just going over what situation might exist, what Penn in the past has done in this area of the field under these circumstances, and they may come with the right play.
But plus the other thing is, with Penn defense playing pretty well today, they may not get an opportunity to get down in this position again, so they're really looking at, even though it's at the 42, they're looking at 4-down territory.
Exactly. They're looking to come up with a play that's going to give them a chance to go for it on 4th down. Well, he's got his play, and let's see what it is. He's been coming under pressure to his tight end, Matt Drury. And also, of course, to Craig Morton.
The other thing I think Joe's telling him is you don't have to get 10 all in one down. You can get 5 each, get that first down. So he's got Swerk and Morton split out wide. Drury's flexed to tight end. Got a screen. Incomplete, a throwaway, and a penalty marker down.
Well, the penalty marker is going to go probably against Dartmouth for having a man downfield. That play probably, that he had to improvise there. He was looking to throw a screen as you described it. It did not develop, and he then threw the ball away. There's a good chance. Around the Ivy League, here's some important scores in the third quarter. Brown has moved ahead of Yale. Yale tied him at 7-7. Harvard putting it to Columbia. And there's a big one. Cornell felt they were going to be strong, and that's score
like
sure
it so far.
indicates it. They're going to be a factor for the first time in the Ivy League in many, many years. So the call was an ineligible receiver. In that particular case, it was the center, number 57, John Randolph, who was caught. The penalty was declined. Dartmouth's going to have to punt. But Dartmouth could come out of this with good field position, and there still is over 8.5 minutes on the clock.
That's right. Plenty of time for them. Keeping the field position becomes a real factor in the fourth quarter in a tight game. Griffin will try to kick this away from Flynn, I think, but he gets his foot into it. Flynn at the 12. Gets out to about the 17. Good coverage by Dartmouth's punt team. Tom Ramsey and number 81, Brent Fry. Brent Fry's making a lot of tackles on the special teams.
He sure is. He's a specialty player. He's an offensive player also who plays some in the offensive line. That was a 30-yard punt, but a good punt. It got it in field position. He didn't kick it out of bounds, and he didn't put it in the end zone. Pennsylvania's looking at their football on their own 18-yard line. Plenty of time left in this fourth period.
They're looking at the field from a different point of view down here. It'll be interesting to see how they react in a close game for a bunch of players who haven't been in this situation before. Pachicki to give to Flynn. Good move, but only a pickup of only about 3 yards. Brett Matthews and Andy Russell in on the stop, along with number 40. There's Brett Matthews. So they're staying home on Flynn. He's got the moves, and they just got to keep the eye on the belt buckle, as the coaches used to say, in the tackling position. 2nd and 7. Pachicki looking. He's got the screen. He's got the very close to a first down. Lorano, the fullback, who hasn't played much this afternoon. Ron Comby makes the stop, but not until he picks up the first down.
And this is a good call because they're keying so much in the tailback, number 27, as he fakes up the middle. They let the fullback slip into the flat, but here Joe Lorano, the junior fullback, makes a lot of yardage on his own. He really takes the pad well, gets upfield, gets the first down, gets the ball a little bit better in field position for the University of Pennsylvania. Always looking for the cutback, and that time the backside of the Dartmouth defense came in and made a big play and did not give him a chance to come back against the grain, and because of that, Fry again, number 81.
John Jakovic in on the stop also.
And the backside, 81 and Jakovic make the play, and that was a big one because now it's 2nd and 14.
Pachicki hasn't looked at too many long down situations. Goes with the fake, and he's setting up the screen to Camizio. He's got some blockers. He's got some room into Dartmouth territory. Finally brought down. 38 38 of Dartmouth. Chris Baelish finally catches up with him. A well-executed screen pass.
Well executed because Crocicchia waited to the last instant to dump the ball off. As you'll see here, he comes in. Now watch number 40, Comizio, break up to the right side and then slip out to the left side. He dumps it off. 53, Rusty Gardner has to come up inside. He doesn't have a chance. The pursuit is gone. He even gets a big block downfield from number 75, the offensive tackle, the offensive guard, Chris Wilkins. Big play, got him out of the hole. Penn's looking at now much better field position.
Rooney, the tailback on that play, the third tailback of the afternoon that we're seeing, picks up about 2 yards. Gardner on the stop. They're really shelling in the players.
They sure are. Back into the game at tailback comes Chris Flynn, so they're playing now with 3 tailbacks. Comizio, Chris Flynn, and the junior Jim Bruni, who just carried the football.
5:35 left in the game. Penn ahead 14-7. 2nd and 9. Dartmouth 38. Double wing. Crocicchia looking for Saunders underneath. Got him. Breaks a tackle. He's out inside the 25-yard line. Another first down for Penn.
And a great effort by Saunders coming underneath, catches the football, and breaks the tackle of Rusty Gardner, who had him for a short gain. As we see here, just a straight drop back. He waits for Saunders to come underneath. He makes the catch. Here comes Gardner, 53. He does not make the play. Second effort by Saunders. Makes it a first down and gets this drive deeper and deeper into Dartmouth territory as the clock wheels down under 5 minutes.
Becomes a factor. Late substitution for Dartmouth on defense. Andrews in motion. And whistles penalty mark.
You could hear in the background perhaps an assistant coach at Dartmouth yelling timeout, timeout. They had to make a substitution late. They got the wrong man in the game, so they decided to call a very important timeout. They've already used one. Here with 4:45 on the clock, they got to get the right people in the game. They can't afford to let Penn get another score. They call the timeout just before the snap. There is Coach Joe Yukika with one of his assistants, and here are some scores from around the country. Number 1, Oklahoma leading Minnesota in the first quarter.
It was a big game for rookie coach at Notre Dame, Lou Holtz, playing the Michigan schools back-to-back. There's Andy Russell's old school, taking on the chin from Texas. Academies.
Has a big score with Pitt coming back after an early season loss. Rutgers leading Cincinnati. Rutgers undefeated thus far. And Virginia Tech leading Syracuse 26-17. Okay, here we go. It's 1st and 10. The ball's inside the 25-yard line of Dartmouth. 4:45 on the clock. Dartmouth's got to do something here on defense and get this football back. Get a chance to tie or win this football game.
1st and 10. Dartmouth 24. Crocicchia looking for Flynn. Get pressured. Number 98. Baelish on the stop.
The linebacker Baelish got penetration. They took a chance and they came after him that time. And Pennsylvania on a 1st and 10 play decided to go with a play action pass, and they got Crocicchia for a loss. The clock ticks away. Dartmouth has only 1 timeout remaining, and that may be a factor here at the end of this quarter because they need timeouts in order to get the football back and get a chance to get upfield.
2nd and 12. Give the Clar up the middle. He's got some yardage. Down to about the 16. Very close to a first down.
First down, and they're also working themselves into a field goal situation. At least they'll have a good position to try a field goal if they have to here. If they don't make it on this 3rd down. and that's important to them. So they're wheeling the clock down. They're also playing position here and looking to get some points on this drive and ice this game away. It hasn't been easy in the second half for the Penn offense. They've sort of staggered around a little bit. They've had opportunities, but they really haven't had the chance to put Dartmouth away.
Give to Flynn, diving over. Very close to a first down.
They're going to call a timeout here and have to measure this one.
Yeah, they're going to take a look. Bring the chains out.
Well, as you look at this Ivy League season and you look at the teams involved, Pennsylvania, the defending champion, surely has enough horses to go at anybody. Today, thus far, they've alternated, as we said, 2 great tailbacks. And they have the defensive strength to hold up against most people. So it's going to be an interesting time. And as we look at the scores around the league, the Cornells are going to be a factor this year. And as we know, most of the reliables like Harvard and Yale will be there at the end. And so it should be an interesting year. But Pennsylvania, coming off 4 great seasons back-to-back, there's no question that they still have enough horses, and we've seen it this afternoon, to be right in the middle of it, and they've got that first down.
Well, they got the first down, and as you mentioned, Dartmouth's got to be very heartened by their performance too, because with the field position they've given Penn all afternoon, they could have 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Exactly. They've hung in there tough. I think if they can stay healthy and they'll improve, they're going to be a factor in that. They're going to play people tough, and they could have an effect on this thing at the end. So that's what makes the Ivy League so interesting.
Brown still holding a touchdown lead on Yale, and Harvard lengthening this lead over Columbia. Princeton finally getting on the board
in the 4th quarter.
Okay, 1st and 10 on the Dartmouth 14-yard line. 3:11 left in the game. Czechia more than likely will keep it on the ground. Pitch to Comizio. Cut back. Touchdown.
He made it look easy, but he got some great blocks on the left side of the line of scrimmage from Chris Wilkins, the left guard, and Scott Ernst, the left tackle. They opened up a huge hole, and with his speed and quickness, he was gone, scooting into the end zone and putting the final touches on this big drive. Pennsylvania took the ball deep in their territory and really moved very effectively and impressively up the field to get this score.
Jim Grass for the extra point. Penn has just come up with the key plays when they need it. The key play in this drive was that screen pass off 2nd and 14.
Exactly.
Results in an 82-yard drive and 11 plays. Takes 5.5 minutes off the clock. And it's good. So that makes it Penn 21, Dartmouth 14. 3:04 left in the game. And Dartmouth has its work cut out for it.
They sure do. And here we'll look again at the final touchdown. It's just a little toss to the tailback, following the fullback. Lorano up, he breaks it, and you can see it's wide open there. Good blocking on the line of scrimmage. The left tackle Ernst, Wilkins, the left guard, goes in untouched for the score. And we'll watch it from the deep position, the end zone camera. There's the block on the line of scrimmage by Wilkins and Ernst. There's the cutback, and he's clean. He's looking forward to a great season last year. As we know, he rushed for over 500 yards and a 4.6 average. Already today, he's got 25 rushes, 2 touchdowns for 130 yards. He's off to a great start.
So Penn takes a 2-touchdown lead with 3 minutes to go in the game, putting Dartmouth in an obvious passing situation. They're going to need the bomb right away, but that's what Penn's going to be playing for, so it's going to be tough.
Dartmouth, it's going to be a tough situation for Dartmouth, but they also have done some positive things today. Up until this last score, their defense hung in tough when they had to against Penn. If they can get their offense moving, we know they got a deep threat.
Good run back. He's got some room. Finally brought down at the 47-yard line. showing that speed that they had hopes for after his outstanding freshman season. So it gives Gabinelli some good field position to get that first touchdown back.
He gets some great blocking. Right in the middle is a wedge return, and he follows his blockers beautifully. And as you described him, Pollard, this 5'9", 185-pound sophomore, has got the quickness and the speed, and it took Wilson, the defensive back, for Penn to make the tackle.
Short dump to Terrain, out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
What you're getting now is almost what amounts to a 2-minute late-game offense. Gabinelli calling the plays, maybe more than one in a huddle. Then he drops the ball off to his tailback coming out of the backfield. Penn playing back a little bit, giving him the plays in front of him, not letting him get deep. But sooner or later, he's got to get deep. He's got to get in that end zone. And we may look again for Craig Morton or for his tight end, Matt Drury.
Well, they've got one timeout left, but the advantage they do have is the clock stops on first down, so they'd have a little extra time. Gabinelli again looking for Train. Throws to Morton, but out of bounds.
Penn looking for him that time. Wilson, the cornerback, getting help from the linebacker. Hippensteel up front, number 99. So they double-teamed in a way. Craig Morton, they covered him short and they covered him deep. And when Gabinelli finally turned the ball over to him, he had to put it out of bounds.
Well, and the other thing that's tough is that he's playing with the short side of the field, so that there's not as much room to spread the defenders out. 3rd down and 3 at the 45.
27, 22, hot.
Terrain stopped immediately by number 94, Mike Lista.
You could question that call, but really with a 3rd down and 4, Penn anticipating the pass, Dartmouth decided to try and mix them up and run a little inside draw play or a sprint draw play with Terrain. But the right side of the Penn line, led by Mike Lista, made the play. He beat the tackle's block, and now it's 4th and 4, and this is it. They've got to get the first down here if they're going to remain in this ball game.
Drury flex the tight end, 2 wide receivers. The option, and Gabinelli loses his footing, and with that, Sebastianelli quickly on the play. Never developed. He had the option called. Whether he would have got 5 yards remains to be seen. A little slow in backing up.
That's a lead option. What they wanted to do is come right down the line of scrimmage with the fullback leading. He's going to pitch the ball to Terrain, but he never got his footing as you described it, and it never developed. And that too, again, is a mix-up call. On a 4th and 4 thinking pass, they were going to run on the corner and try and get the first down. But now Penn gets the ball back. Dartmouth's got 1 timeout, a little over 2 minutes left.
And we have a new quarterback in the game, Scott Marcotte, who actually was the quarterback in the winning game last year against Dartmouth, which clinched the Ivy League championship for Penn. So he's a senior, and he's got some experience.
He's a very fluid player. He's smart. He's a good play caller. He throws on the run fairly well, but as you described him, he doesn't really have the gun to get it deep, so people can load up a little bit on him. But he's got experience, and I don't think there's any question that Ed Zubro would use him in any situation. He's getting a chance to get a little play here. Scott Marcotte, the senior quarterback.
2nd down and 11. And
he's using the clock also.
a little bit too much that time.
That's right. So you're going to get a delay of game here.
Penn, as you can tell by looking at the offense, some cleaner jerseys, even though it's not a muddy afternoon.
Well, they've come about 7-8 hours from Philadelphia. They're going to give everybody a chance to play now. That's important to them. Getting back to Dartmouth, it's I think there are some encouraging parts to this game for them, and I think as the season develops, if they can stay together, stay healthy, they'll be in the football game with a lot of people in this league, and I think they'll be very competitive as the season develops.
Pitch to Bruni, cuts back, loses his footing.
A little slick out there now, Brian. It's getting a little slick. It's been a sort of a damp afternoon. That time as he tried to come back, his feet went from under him. But Bruni is another one of those tailbacks. He's the 3rd one. And he's a junior, 5'11", 194 pounds. Joe Ukika Coming into this game, his 9th season at Dartmouth. Felt, as he told us earlier, that his ball club would be very, very competitive. Timeout on the clock. The clock is stopped at 1:06 with Penn ahead 21-7. That was the last timeout for Dartmouth, and they've got their defensive captains over there on the sideline talking to their defensive coordinator. There is Joe Ukika, who has been a head coach for over 20 years, won over 100 games, a Penn State grad, was an assistant at Dartmouth at one time, then went on to the University of New Hampshire as a head coach, then the Boston College. 108 career victories coming into this season.
Well, even though it's a loss for Dartmouth, he's got to be very encouraged with the way that teams played.
I don't think there's any question
and looking
about
for
that.
the rest of the season.
Right. It's a long season. He's got a lot of opportunities, and he will have his opportunities as he goes along. They played him very tough up until his last touchdown.
And as we look over the record, there haven't been many 7-0 champions in the last 15 years.
That's
so
for sure. That's the balance in the league.
Champ's going to win or lose 1 or 2 games. 3rd down and 14. Morcott, the quarterback. Give to Bruni, and nothing up the middle. So bring up 4th and 13. Punting situation. And continuing their success in their openers in the 80s. Stretch back deep for Dartmouth. High snap, gets it off. Takes a Dartmouth bounce and down at the 27-yard line with 30 seconds to go in the game. Penn ahead 21-7. Looking after their 5th championship in a row. The only other team in the Ivy to do that has been Dartmouth.
That's right. Dartmouth did it in the combination of the 60s and 70s, the late 60s, early 70s.
Through 73 at 5 in a row.
That's right, and they were the only one to do it, and Pennsylvania has the opportunity to do that this year.
Gaminelli looking for terrain. Well covered by number 37, Rick Inskeep, but really not much room to throw there.
He tried to mix him up a little bit and try to release terrain down the middle to tailback, putting him on a linebacker, but we know coming into this game that they like Rick Inskeep, the senior linebacker. He's got the speed to cover somebody like that, and he showed it right there. But it's a tough situation for Dartmouth with 25 seconds. Everybody knows they're going to put it up. It's just a matter of trying to get a break here. And there's enough time to throw the football. There's what is commonly known as a prevent defense.
Good catch by Terrain, but only after pickup of about 3 yards. Inskeep again on the tackle.
It's going to be very hard to get another play off here. They don't have any timeouts. They're trying to huddle on the ball. The official is stopping it because he wants a new football. Okay.
This will be the last play. Gaminelli throwing deep for Morton on the sideline and out of bounds. That's it. Penn defends their Ivy championship on a positive note, winning 21-7 over Dartmouth in Hanover, New Hampshire. That first W for Coach Ed Zubrow has got to be a big one.
It sure does. He came into this game. He was very excited about preparing for this game. He greets Joe Ukika. He knows he's got pressure on him. He's got a winning situation that he's taken over. He's got a lot of returning players, but he's handled it very well. Very popular. And he started off, as you described it, with a big win today, away from home, 21-7, clear winner. As it has been for many, many years, the two teams greet on the field and shake hands, the Ivy tradition. It's quite a sight to see these guys come down, encouraging each other.
Okay, we'll be right back, Memorial Field, in just a moment. The Ivy League football game of the week was made possible by grants from Chrysler Plymouth. We're working together to be the best. And by the financial professionals at Payne Weber. us on the Ivy League Network would like to add a special thanks to these fine underwriters who are making these Ivy telecasts possible. So once again, the final score, Penn 21, Dartmouth 7. Let's go down to the sideline with winning coach Ed Zubro. Coach.
Yes. Ed, we're right up here. Congratulations. A great win. This is Bob Cassiola talking to you.
Thank you very much, Bob. It's a tremendous feeling to get my first win as a head coach and our football team's first win of the season.
Were you pleased with the overall play of your offense? I know it started a little bit there, but you really came to the guys that have done it for you in the past. Your tailbacks, Comizio and Flynn, and they were spectacular today.
Yeah, I thought the offense did a real fine job of coming back with good drives after adversity. You know, after Dartmouth had scored their touchdown, we put a good drive together, and then at the end of the game, we put a good drive together despite the problems that we had putting the ball in the end zone. The backs ran really hard. But the other thing, Bob, that you have to really notice too is in the first half, some of those long gains we had were on busted plays, and they were the result of offensive linemen who were really blocking through the whole play, just doing a great job. I don't know if you guys saw that on the replays or not, but we had some great play from some seniors up front.
We saw it on the replay. We saw those guys go, and we congratulate you again, Ed. We look forward to seeing you throughout the season.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Okay, the final score once again, Penn 21, Dartmouth 7 from Hanover, New Hampshire.